You passed the bar?
Yes, you hear this all the time, but this is the bar. And if you are an attorney, you have passed the bar, you're able to come into the well.
So you and I are past the bar.
What?
I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we're not having court today.
We just expanded it. You can be with a lawyer.
You can be with a lawyer. Okay, well, good.
Supervised passing of the bar.
So if you're joining us today, welcome to At the Table. I'm Ray. This is Stefan. And today we have a guest with us and a dear friend, retired State Superior Court Judge Jim Robertson. We have a unique kind of series we're working on right now, talking about justice and mercy. And tell us more about that, Stefan.
We're going through a series, and it stems from our January conversation. We spent a whole month of January talking about the promises of God and how God promises to love us and to care for us. And then we're entering into February talking about responding to God's love. We love because God first loved us. And so it's not that we did anything to deserve that. That is already gifted and given to us. And so it is our responsibility, our duty, our call as Christians to then respond with love towards others as well. We're spending February and just the first week of March having conversations about what justice and what mercy and what grace really actually look like on the ground level. So thank you for being a part of this conversation.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Often when I think of justice and we think of a courtroom, which, by the way, we're in the old courthouse of Alamance County, and it literally looks like something out of the movies, this whole thing. And so we thought
it was built in 1924.
About that.
That's gorgeous.
But when I think about justice and think about a courtroom, somehow my mind does not go to mercy. My mind goes to, here's the law. The other thing I think about is, when I'm thinking about justice and I think about, is there mercy? And then I think about the love of God and the love of God has for all of us. And I wonder, is there any room in the world in which you work as an attorney and as a judge, is there any room for real mercy? Because you have to interpret the law, hold us accountable to the law, and move forward.
There is mercy. I think courtrooms are initially designed to enforce a set of laws and rules.
It's intimidating.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
If it's not in your environment, you're very tense and nervous.
Yeah.
In it. But the main purpose of courts and court systems and this beautiful, beautiful courthouse is to apply laws and rules to people who have disputes or criminal charges against them. And so the bottom line is, it looks like from the outside it's going to be black or white. So if say when I came into a courtroom, what I wanted to make sure was that everybody in here had a level playing field. That didn't matter whether you were represented by the most prominent lawyer in the nation or you're representing yourself. The same rules apply, and they should be applied so that each party understands what the rules are and what you're accused of not doing correctly. So that is a bit of the more rigid side. It is designed to determine accountability.
It sounds like when you just on me when you said this, Jim, part of the justice is that the judge is going to be just in making everybody equal partners in this. That's part of the justice.
That's exactly right.
If you're sitting here, you're going to be treated equally no matter what.
That's
part of the judge.
That is a very good point, because most folks would think justice is, did you do it or you did not do it? Right. Part of that is making sure everybody's right to have a fair trial or a fair appearance in front of the judge will be protected. And no matter who you are, everybody has that opportunity for fairness.
Yeah.
And so
That's kind of the justice.
that is the
part of it.
that is part of the justice that just kind of doesn't get included in the definition a lot. It's usually, are you accountable for violating these rules or crimes or whatever, as compared to that other part that says, all right, that triggers, in order to treat you justly, I have to apply the very same rules
Right.
that I apply to everybody else. We let the folks know right up front that this is a place not to be intimidated by any more than your natural intimidation and fear factor would play in. That it is a place you can come and someone will treat you with respect, will treat you, will listen to you, listen to what you have to say, not just be dismissive of you, and give you an opportunity to either explain why you violated rules or whether you violated rules at all.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very important, that judges and clerks and court reporters and bailiffs and everybody else treats the people that come in here with respect.
Yeah.
And so that's on the do justly side.
Have you ever thought about the fact, and people may know this, when it came to grace and mercy in a judicial system, even a religious judicial system, for lack of a better term, up until Jesus, the person of Jesus, there wasn't really an understanding of mercy and grace. It was black, white. Did it, not. You deserve the punishment, you're getting it. The text we're dealing with this coming week is the woman who has been, the Pharisees have said, has been caught in the very act of adultery. Now, it's interesting, for the side note is, where's the man? But remember, it was a man's world, and they made all the decisions, even in the religious world. And this rabbi, this traveling rabbi, sets up court right out in the open and doesn't deny, nor did the woman, that indeed I'm guilty. I'm guilty.
That's right.
And this Stefano, this Jesus character, the guy that sets up court with the religious lawyers, says,
I don't condemn you either.
and he says, let the cat of you, which one of you has
First stone.
who has not sinned,
Yeah.
cast the first stone.
Actually, that moment is really powerful. And in fact, Jim, something you had said earlier when we were having conversations about this made me think of that moment. Is we've got a Jesus who sits there and offers everyone else, when they're expecting a black or white answer, they're saying, here's what the law says, here's what you're supposed to do. What are you going to say, Jesus? And Jesus
They're trying to trick him.
a chance to think about themselves, to put themselves, their own humanity at play here, because it matters. And one thing you had said earlier when we were talking about this is that the judges that walk into a courtroom come in with their own baggage too. And you were clear, but a lot of that baggage is how to deal with mercy and forgiveness and grace, and even love. And I think we forget that.
Mercy does have a place, and in North Carolina, mercy, they give us kind of grids based on what the charges are and what the criminal record is, and you end up in a sort of a grid and in a box. And there are mitigating factors at one end and aggravating factors on the other, and the judge is to take those and see if the mitigating outweigh the aggravating, your sentence may go downward. Most judges might pick the one in the middle because they don't have to find any facts about what it was that you did.
So wait a minute, are you trying to tell me then that if the person behind the bench, if they want to be just and merciful, that's harder work?
It is. It's harder work because you have to, the defendant would be putting on evidence that justified mitigation or mercy. The other side would be putting on aggravating things. The judge would have to make the decision as to each one of those things that came up, unless the judge just takes the one that's down the middle, follow the grid, go down the middle, and then you don't have to make any of those findings of fact.
Oh my gosh. Jim, thank you so much. We have a lot more from Jim. I want you to stick around for it. Hopefully you're just enthralled by all of these conversations. And we kind of expected that we'd have a great conversation with you. So we're going to turn this into a part 2. We don't often do this, but it's just too good. So we're going to leave you here, maybe hanging a little bit with a couple of questions, with a couple of thoughts, with a couple ideas. Stew on those for the next week. And when we come back, we'll get back into the conversation. We'll see you next week at the table.
Shines his light. Whenever God shines his light on you.